welcome back to Stark Reality Garage. Hey, got the Jeep back in the garage. On my last trip out, I noticed the brakes were not at 100%. They were really struggling, you know, pedal to the floor and still not quite there, especially in really steep hills, that kind of thing. And I've had on the passenger side front brakes, that caliper has stuck a few times. So it's time to do the brakes. And so I'll walk you through swapping out some brakes. All right, so I just pulled off the tire and figured I'd get started. I ordered up some parts from Rock Auto, and what I'm going to do is I do have the fluid is no good. It's very dark, so we'll have to do all the fluids. I'm going to replace the calipers, the pads, and the rotors. They're actually not that bad. These pads and rotors are not terribly bad, but I'm getting no pressure, and I know it's time for an upgrade. These new calipers are going to be a big upgrade, so good time to do it. It's not really that expensive, and so I'll do that on both sides. The caliper on the other side has been sticking a lot, so I got to do that anyways. So we'll get started. All right, so pulling this off is obviously easy. It's just two 12mm bolts, and you pull the caliper right off. And I got some current extreme carbon ceramic discs and some nice discs to go with them, so that'll give me an extra strength. And I've got these Ray asbestos calipers. These are treated and painted, so they should hold up really well and not get rusty and so on quite as fast. So this is probably easy. I think probably the most difficult thing is actually bleeding the brakes. So I'll get started on getting these things all pulled apart. All right, so I'm over here on the passenger side doing my brakes and replacing them with new brake calipers, and discovered a little problem I had not realized before. These are the little tabs for mounting the caliper, and this is the bolt. It's just an M8 1¼ screws right in, you know, no problem. Except it doesn't screw in, no problem, into this one. This one's been stripped out at some point, so this is just the wrong size, and I just didn't realize it at first, but somebody had swapped out a bigger bolt on the old calipers, and I just hadn't realized this is the one that came out, and it's an M10, and they screwed that in there to get it to tighten up. And this is the caliper that I've had some troubles with, so interesting problem. So obviously I'm not going to replace the entire knuckle or, you know, all this whole thing, so I need to repair these threads so that they'll fit this. So you got to get a thread repair kit. So I haven't done this before, but bought the kit and we'll figure this thing out. All right, so two things I did. One, I was so sick and tired of when you got a bolt and you pull it out and you don't know what size it is, and you got to run to the home improvement store to figure out what size it is. So I finally just went and bought one of these, and you just screw these in. You got it's open on the top, and so you can do the bolts and the nuts and figure out what sizes you have, metric and SAE. So that helps. M8 1¼ and then I ordered up one of these kits. So this is a thread repair kit. You can buy these as individual size kit units, but it's way cheaper to get the 5, and figured, you know, might as well just get them. It was like $35 for the whole kit. You'll see this from a whole bunch of different manufacturers. Not too expensive. It comes with the drill bit that you need to drill it out with, the threads, the tap so you can tap it, and then the tools to insert the little spring to fix the threads to match what you need. So it's pretty straightforward. Hopefully it goes nice and smooth, and we'll get this thing repaired. All right, so let's drill this out. Next part, tap. Got this tap set up so I can get past here, but what you're tapping for is the larger insert that's going to go in here, the little spring insert, not for an actual M8. All right, so the next thing you're going to use is this little install tool. This is the little spring that gets installed. It's got this little piece sticking out in the middle, goes into that slot right there. You just slip it on, snap it in there. This is a little adjustable little piece on here with a little Allen head. And then what we'll do is we'll just screw that into that hole. Now one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to put some Loctite on there on the outside of this to hopefully lock this in pretty good, since it's doesn't seat all the way in. It's just going to be, it's open on both ends, so I think that might help. But now we just got to screw this in. All right, so put a little Loctite in there. And then I'm going to screw this in from the back, which is the way the bolt's going to go. Just seems to make a little more sense to me. Okay. That's seated in just right. It's just the right depth. So I'll let that dry up a little bit, and then should be able to screw the bolt right in there. We should be able to mount the caliper and be all set to go. Pretty simple. Oh, last step. Okay, so the last step is you still have this little tang sitting out here. And so there's a little tool, we put it in there, we whack it and knock it off. So we'll do that next. All right, so the last piece of this puzzle is this little rod right here, which essentially it's all is just a little rod. And that slips, it's just the right size to slip through the new threaded in spring and pop that little tab off on the end. So we'll put that through and knock it out of the way. You can see that threading there, and if I can do it one-handed here, threads right up, real nice. And they say this is even stronger than original, so hopefully that's the case. And pretty simple fix in comparison to having to replace a part. So you can't go to bigger bolts, all those kinds of things. So terrific little fix. I had never done this before, and I like it. I'm glad I have the kit. Saved me from trouble in the future. All right, so I got them on. I've got it bled. This one's all ready to go. I did get these slotted and drilled ones. Should help with the mud, apparently, to let dirt get through. And obviously this is like a zinc coated, so that helps, hopefully. My fluid was pretty dark. The good stuff's down at the bottom when I got to the end. So should be clear like that. Mine was pretty black. So I also used a Q-tip, kind of cleaned it up in there, stirred it around, tried to get all that gunk out of there I could. You do want one of these little bottles with the hose. I will say these are big fat ones. So for a bleeder valve, they're the big ones. So you do need a big piece of plastic to get onto that. The other trick, if you have one of these little clamps, works great. So that when I swapped over the hose, I could just clamp this off, and then swap it from one caliper onto the other. That makes it a little easier. All right, so I got the wheels back on, drove it a couple days, and stops much better than it used to. And they're running just fine, and checked the bolts, and nothing's loose over on the one that I repaired. So another project down, and Jeep's in service, which is a good thing. See you next time.